We're at Money in the Bank and Bron Breakker is inching closer to becoming World Heavyweight Champion. He's lining up Gunter for a spear, but he moves and Bron inadvertently spears the referee. And as soon as this happens, Gunter wipes out Bron with a body folding chop. Although before he can capitalise, he gets wiped out by a long lost enemy. Ijla Draganov has just handed Bron Breakker the victory on a silver platter. Gunter has been screwed. But why? Why has Dragunov done this? Well, on the Raw after Money in the Bank, we get our answer. I lost 9 months of my career because of Gunter. You want to talk about respect? Well, you had it until you took what I love away from me. So I had to sit and wait and bide my time until I was allowed to return. And of course you were my first target. You took what I loved away from me. So I took what you held most dear to your heart. The World Heavyweight Championship. Gunter has heard enough. But before he can make it to the ring, he stops. And that's because Ludwig Kaiser blindsides the Mad Dragon. It's unbelievable, as Gunter says. Look at you. You've become weak and frail, Ijla. At Money in the Bank, you got lucky. But at SummerSlam, you will have my full attention. Because at the biggest party of the summer, you will acknowledge that I am, and I've always been, better than you. Gunter lays out the challenge, which is confirmed later in the night with the added stipulation that the winner will get to face Bron Breakker or Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship at Bash in Berlin. But simultaneously, it's also announced that the following week, Ijla will take on Ludwig Kaiser, so then the Mad Dragon can get revenge on Ludwig. And that match is brutal, it's vicious, neither man holds back, but Ijla is a man possessed. He's elevated himself to new levels since being injured by Gunter, and with a powerbomb and H-bomb, the match is seemingly done, but Ijla wants to go for the kill, as he locks in a rear naked choke with Ludwig passing out. The message has been sent by the Mad Dragon, but before he can celebrate his victory, Gunter comes out of nowhere and almost decapitates Dragunov with a lariat. Then to rub salt in the wound, ahead of their SummerSlam match, Gunter locks in a half Boston Crab and refuses to let it go. Dragunov is writhing around in pain, and after what feels like an eternity, Gunter finally mercifully releases the hold. But is the damage done? Can Dragunov even make it to the match? Well, on the Raw before SummerSlam, we get our answer. Dragunov is here, and even though his leg clearly isn't at 100%, he wants to fight, and Gunter tells him to bring it. Although before Ijla does just that, he grabs a steel chair, and with the playing field equalised, Gunter decides to back off. He has all the information he needs, but will Dragunov's leg hold him back? Well, we're at SummerSlam, and the match is an absolute banger. However, the ring general knows to target Ilya's leg, which hinders the Mad Dragon more and more throughout the contest. He gets dominated by the much larger ring general, but he doesn't stop fighting. Although each time Ijla tries to come back into the match, Gunter shuts him down. But no matter what he does, Ijla doesn't stay down for the free. He even hits a lariat and a subsequent powerbomb, but somehow, someway, Ijla found a way to kick out a 2. Gunter is beside himself. Although in the madness, he gets an idea. He goes back to what hurt Dragunov in their previous altercation, as he attempts a half Boston Crab, but Ijla almost instantaneously gets out of it. Then as both men get to their feet, Ijla launches at Gunter with a torpedo Moscow, but the ring general moves with Ijla clocking the referee. Both men are startled by this, although Ijla stops focusing on Gunter, as a hooded figure starts making his way into the ring with a chair in hand, which makes Gunter weary as well. That is until Alexander Wolfe has reunited with Imperium, and he has just screwed Ilya out of the match as Gunter locks in the half Boston Crab, and he makes it tighter and tighter onto Ilya's injured limb. The Mad Dragon is writhing around in pain, but he has nowhere to go, although he refuses to tap, and after what feels like an eternity, he passes out. It's heartbreak for the Mad Dragon. His revenge has failed. Gunter has won. Although even if he has lost the battle, he refuses to lose the war. Gunter, you coward. Hiding behind your cronies, stop being a coward and fight me. And it seems Gunter is obliging to this request, although he stops dead in his tracks and even walks away. But that's only because Imperium begins assaulting the Mad Dragon. He's outgunned and outplanned by the group. That is until a past enemy joins forces to take out a common threat, as Brawnbreaker spears Gunter and aids Dragunov in fending off Imperium. And with this alliance, Adam Pearce announces a 3-on-3 tag team match for next week's Raw. But who will their partner be? Well, we find out at the show. Trick Williams is here, and he's here to aid his friend Ijla Draganov. The numbers are now even, and the match is utter chaos. Trick and Alexander Wolfe do battle at the top of the ramp. Gunter and Brawnbreaker battle at ringside, which leaves Ludwig and Ilya in the ring. And similarly to their past altercations, Ilya is proving to overwhelm Ludwig. As with a H-bomb, Dragunov picks up the win for his Frankenstein team. But as he's celebrating, Brawnbreaker comes out of nowhere and spears the Mad Dragon. Yet before he can deal any more damage, Trick Williams runs him off. And even though Ilya wants vengeance, he knows he has to focus on tearing down the Imperium before he can get a fair crack at the World Heavyweight Championship. As the following week, Adam Pearce announces that at Bash in the Berlin, it'll be Ijla Draganov and Trick Williams taking on Ludwig Kaiser and Alexander Wolfe. But before then, Ilya has a chance at getting revenge on Alexander Wolfe for screwing him out of beating Gunter at SummerSlam. Although as Ilya is about to get the win, Ludwig Kaiser causes a disqualification by hitting Ilya with a chair. But as Trick looks to even the odds, he gets smacked in the skull with the chair. Trick is out, and he's gushing blood. Everyone is horrified at this. And with Trick being concussed from the assault, Ilya is forced to find himself a new tag team partner. And on top of this, the match has been changed to Tornado Tag rules. But who will his new partner be? Well, we're at Bash in the Berlin, and we find out who the Mad Dragon will team with. Giovanni Vinci can finally get some measure of revenge on Ludwig Kaiser, and the match gets underway of pure brawling, although the brawling turns to weapon shots as Imperium slaughter the dynamic duo with chairs, but neither of the Imperium haters yield, and they even manage to fight back. Gio even starts using weapons of his own, which helps turn the tide in the battle. As with both men planting their opposition with power bombs, Ilya finishes the job with a H-bomb onto Alexander Wolfe. But to ensure he stays down, or for additional revenge, he nails another. Gio and Ilya have won, and with that, Giovanni Vinci can start his revenge tour on Ludwig Kaiser, which leaves Gunter for Ijla Draganov. And speaking of, in the main event of the evening, the referee gets taken out inadvertently by Brawnbreaker yet again, and just like at Money in the Bank, here comes Ijla Draganov with a chair in hand. And after what happened to Trick, he nails Gunter with a shot to the skull, but he also wants revenge on Brawnbreaker as he smashes the chair into the next big thing's gut before leaving the downed bodies behind. Although he stops and watches at the top of the ramp as Brawnbreaker makes the ring and I'll pass out. Braun has retained, but his victory over Gunter has once again come in controversy. And this really pisses off Brawnbreaker, as on the following night of Raw, he makes a challenge for both Gunter and Ijla Dragunov for bad blood. He wants to put this madness behind him, although no one has heard from Gunter since Bash in Berlin, which continues as Ludwig Kaiser accepts Braun's challenge on his behalf, and of course, Ilya does as well. The match is official for bad blood, but before the title match, Ilya and Braun are forced to coexist as they team up against Imperium in what turns out to be a fantastic tag team main event. And although they managed to pick up the win thanks to Gio screwing Imperium over, their celebrations don't last long as Braun tries to hit a spear, but Ilya scouted it and nails a torpedo Moscow onto the next big thing. Will this be the closing scene at Bad Blood? Well, before we find out, on the Go Home Raw, Ijla Dragunov has a one-on-one match against the champ who runs the camp, although the match never happens, as Gunter brings out the lifeless corpse. Ilya can't believe it, but that disbelief soon turns to rage as he charges towards his longtime rival, although he gets taken down by a lariat. Gunter stands tall heading into Bad Blood, but can he become a two-time World Heavyweight Champion? Well, we're at the show, and we kick off with the highly personal triple threat match. Who will walk out of the show as World Champion? Well, all three men are going at it as if their lives depend on it. Gunter has the strength, Ilya has the endurance, and Braun has the speed. It's a perfect trinity of styles, although all three men are also incredibly stiff with their strikes. They even have similar impact to big time moves, with Gunter almost folding Ilya in half of a chop. But whilst Braun's striking game isn't on par with both of his competitors, he can be equally vicious, which we find out when he spears Gunter to the outside. But he isn't done, as he starts redecorating the announcer's table, although he doesn't realise Ilya's back up as he dives onto Braun. Then he puts him onto the table, but Braun still has gas left in the tank. He counters the Mad Dragon, then plants him through the table. Ilya is done, and Braun takes the time to taunt at his fallen foe, although this mistake allows for Gunter to get up and powerbomb Braun into the ring post before putting him into the ring. It's looking like Gunter could regain the world title, but as he could go for the killing blow, his hatred for Ilya overwhelms him as he goes to the outside, picks up the lifeless corpse, then puts him in the ring, although he can't capitalise as Braun is back up and wipes Gunter out with another spear. Then after discarding the body to the outside, he nails another onto Ilya before locking in a Steiner recliner. And similarly to SummerSlam, Ilya passes out. Braun Breaker has won. He can put this chapter in his career behind him. But both Ijla Draganov and Gunter can't put their hatred for one another to rest. Not without one more fight. As on the following Raw, both men fight all over the building. Nothing can separate them. And that doesn't change as Adam Pearce comes out. And with them still fighting, he says, "This will end. Crown Jewel, you two will fight inside Hell in a Cell." But the announcement falls on deaf ears as Ilya and Gunter continues brawling, although their fight comes to an end with Gunter obliterating Ilya with a powerbomb through the announcer's table. The Mad Dragon's cursed luck of going through the announcer's table continues, and once Gunter relents, he walks up to Adam Pearce and says, "You're right, Pearce. This does need to end." And I couldn't think of a better conclusion myself. The war is on, and both men start by trading strikes that could destroy galaxies with a thought. Although Gunter's chops quite literally shut Ilya's body down, at least temporarily, as he knees Gunter to the side of the temple, and he then connects a massive lariat, but the Dragunov stays alive, so Ilya goes to the outside and grabs some toys, which includes a chair, a kendo stick, and a table. But before he can get back into the ring, Gunter sends him into the steel structure, but he doesn't let up, as he uses the cell as a weapon in itself. Then he puts the Mad Dragon into the ring before setting up the table, although he can't use it just yet, as Ilya surprises him and takes him down with a German suplex. But Gunter doesn't take that lying down, as he decides to hit one of his own. Then he grabs the chair and he begins swinging it with reckless abandon, until eventually the chair breaks onto Ilya's body. But Gunter isn't done, as he hits a German suplex onto the broken chair, although he doesn't go into the cover. As he picks him up, he's gonna powerbomb Ilya through the table, but the Mad Dragon escapes, and he's the one to put the Dragunov through the table. Then he signals for a torpedo Moscow, but he can't hit it. Gunter escapes, then the Dragunov sends Ilya to the outside, but Dragunov fights back. Although not for long, as Gunter manages to send him through the structure. Now both men are out of the cell. Yet that doesn't stop their fighting, as Gunter picks him up, although Ilya out of pure instinct hurls him away before he starts to climb the cell. But he goes all the way to the top, and he demands for Gunter to join him. He wants this to end once and for all, and Gunter accepts his request. They're both on top of the structure, and just like at the start of the match, both men trade strikes. But just like last time this occurred, Gunter gets on top with a chop which nearly knocks out Ilya. So then Gunter looks for a powerbomb, but the Mad Dragon counters, and what happens next may shock you. Ilya has won! The Cesar of WWE has won the war! But at what cost? Both men have sacrificed so much, and in the end, does it even matter? As both men were so lustful for vengeance that they sacrificed golden opportunities to prove they were better than the other. To end the war as a victor, sacrifices had to be made.